Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to your Thursday edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. We are live. It is game day focus. The Golden State Warriors are in town for a big game tonight. And I got my guy, Drew Gann. Uncle Buck, how's it going on this blustery, windy Thursday?
It is just that. It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. You know what I'm saying? We are 6 days away from Santa squeezing his white tail down the chimney and seeing the giant's bunch of a-holes this side of the nut house. You know what I'm saying?
That's it, man. It is we're in the single digits. We're less than a week away from St. Nick's traveling around the world. I saw earlier this week where somebody said that for it to happen, he would have to hit 25,000 houses per second in order to make his deadline. And somebody said, well, your mom visits 25,000 houses per second.
If Ted Lasso taught us one thing, and I believe it was season 2, Sam Avisanya says, that it's the whole world broken up into 24 time zones. So the real effort is in his longevity, not his speed.
I like it. I like it. That's good stuff. Well, hey, every Tuesday, Thursday, we give the people what they want. On Tuesdays, we start with our best in beef. And on Thursdays, we've got some hot takes for y'all in our real versus counterfeit segment. If you have a controversial hot take, scan that QR code. You can screenshot it, save it to your photos, pull it up, give us your hot takes, and we'll talk about them here on air. But this week, we have a Christmas edition, real or counterfeit, Uncle Buck, since we'll be our next show next Thursday will be after Christmas. I figured we could get some of our Christmas hot takes in now. This first one's not a huge hot take for either one of us because we're very pro this, but I want to kind of talk through some of the rationale that Christmas trees can go up before Thanksgiving.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it just depends on if you love the Christmas spirit or not. If you are a person that's filled with lots of jolly and joy, and if you're a Scrooge, then yeah, you wait till after Thanksgiving and you say bah humbug at all the people who are experiencing joy in November. Mm-hmm. And if that's you, then, I'm not the one to, to talk down to you. I just probably will avoid you until it's actually Christmas time. For me personally, I have joy 12 months a year, and the Christmas season and the Christmas bug bites me really early. And I'm not I'm not of the mindset to quench that or to squish it down. No, we only get it, so many days, weeks, a year. So go full bore whenever you want to be. I actually respect the guy, the mall Santa Claus that I see in June walking around the supermarket. You think he just shaves, because it's not Christmas season? No, he's just Santa Claus in his leisure wear.
Yeah, so my family gave me a lot of grief because Maggie and I decorated her Grinch tree, got our live tree up around Thanksgiving, and my brother and aunt were like, "Whoa, wow, yeah, I can't believe y'all did that. It's not Christmas yet." Blah, blah, blah. It's like, fine, be a Scrooge. Get cold for Christmas. Mm-hmm. I want to enjoy my live tree for a month. I want it more than just like a week or two. Like, I enjoy the festivities. I enjoy the putting up of the lights. I enjoy seeing them when I drive by. There's several here around my house that have great blow-up displays in the yard. I'm here for it, man. So if you want to put it up before Thanksgiving, do it. And if you don't, that's your prerogative, but don't rain on my parade. Like Drew said, you're not going to steal my joy. If you want to be grumpy, then be grumpy. It's fine. But we're going to be jolly.
Yeah, I got a theory that the people who, and it's all men, I feel like it's just all like middle-aged men, our age and above. And the reason why they don't like it is because they dread the honey-do list that comes along with it. But in our household, I'm the one driving this ship towards Christmas. And so I don't feel that.
I love putting up Christmas lights, and I love decorating the tree and doing all the things that come with that. So it does not bother me in the slightest. Bring it on. Speaking of, another one that may get some of the men in the audience in the comments a little bit upset. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Listen, it is set at Christmas. It just doesn't have the spirit, right? The Christmas spirit is not in that movie. A Christmas movie is supposed to make me laugh and think of family, and this is just me, okay? It's just me, and it's buckets. Spoiler alert. But like, I don't feel the Christmas spirit. I love Die Hard. Die Hard's incredible movie.
Great movie.
Hans Gruber is incredible. An A1 villain, and he's got an A1 death, and it's just not a movie that I want to watch at Christmas. I mean, it released in theaters in June when it came out. Like, it's not a Christmas movie.
Listen, I agree, because where does it stop? Like, I'm sorry, Wayno, I know you're upset, way across the pond over there. You're really upset, but like, for it to be a Christmas movie, it needs to involve Santa, gifts, snow, reindeer, Christmas of some type, Christmas parties. Like, where can we? It doesn't stop, right? Because if Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then Batman Returns is a Christmas movie because it's set at Christmas. Harry Potter is a Christmas movie. The Gremlins, like, there's so many movies that are set around Christmas that aren't Christmas movies. Batman Returns, definitely not a Christmas movie. You can have it, that's fine. Like, I will watch it at some point this month because it is a good movie set at Christmas, but not an actual official Christmas movie. And even Bruce Willis, the main protagonist in the movie, says that it is not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, if John McClane says it, then that's truth.
Final. Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah, and why can't we have an action Christmas movie, Wayno asked? You can.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen one yet, except for Jingle All the Way. It's got the Terminator in it, my man.
It does.
That's your action Christmas movie.
We've got a new one. It's called Red One that just came out with The Rock and J.K. Simmons. Hadn't watched it yet. Heard it was good. It's an action movie. Like, we've got action Christmas movies that are coming and that are out there. Die Hard isn't one of them. There's that. Lastly, and this one, I don't know how you feel about this, but this is a big one for me. Real or counterfeit, Christmas music should only be played in December. Real or counterfeit?
I mean, I'm ready for Christmas music when I start putting up the tree. And so that's where I'm at. And so no, I'm counterfeit on that one. Now, I do need to diversify as it gets closer to Christmas. I go more to like their traditional hits. Like, I'm not going to listen to, Bluebells in November, or White Christmas. But, I'll get into like the country Christmas or I'm a big fan of like the Pentatonics Christmas albums.
Oh, absolutely.
Every time.
Absolutely.
And hot take, real or counterfeit, Rusty. All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey could be listened to year round.
Oh, absolutely counterfeit.
That's a
absolutely,
my man.
Absolutely counterfeit.
Love.
Listen, man, like, so Christmas songs for me have a very short shelf life. Like, once I've heard them once or twice, I'm done. And Call Me a Scrooge, whatever, like, they're fine, but they're just not something I want to listen to for months on end. I start listening to it in December, and I end it on December 25th. I don't love Christmas music. Like, I'll listen to it to get in the season. We went last night to a local thing here in Memphis called Starry Nights, where you drive through Shelby Farms, got all these light displays. It's awesome.
Oh, I've been multiple times.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. And we listened to Christmas music the whole drive, and I was completely fine. But I haven't listened to it since, and probably won't again until it's Christmas festivities. Christmas music is just not my thing, and I'm going to say it's real that it should only be listened to in the month of December.
Again, whatever. The Christmas is not about division, people. Everything is not about division. I do not hate Scrooges. I love everybody. Yeah. However, I do recognize that I have a lot more joy in my heart than they do.
That's it. And so if you want to be a Scrooge, that's fine. But one thing that's not going to be a Scrooge, hopefully, are the Memphis Grizzlies tonight, as we have a big basketball game. It's been a weird couple of weeks without Grizzly basketball. There's been the NBA Cup and all the things that come with that, which not having an NBA, Keith Parrish said this, not having an NBA game on a Wednesday night should be a sin. It was weird not having basketball last night because the Cup ended on Tuesday. It's that weird time where they don't have games because of the Cup. And so we didn't have basketball last night, but it's back. And one of our storied rivals, the Golden State Warriors, are in town. We're playing them for the second time this season. They bested us back earlier this year, made a furious comeback. They kicked our butts for 3.5 quarters. And then when our stars finally got in, we went on a 22-6 run to close the gap. I don't know about you, Uncle Buck, but it's time for some revenge tonight.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no team that I personally loathe more than Golden State. And there's real beef there. And to come out, you've kind of had to sit with that Lakers loss now for 4 days.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that everybody just kind of has taken the chance to recenter and then take all of our aggression out on Golden State. If you remember the first time we played Golden State, there was no John Morant in that game. That game had Draymond Green taking down Zach Edey by the ankle and then calling Taylor Jenkins emotional about it. And it was just the greatest hits of Draymond Green, if we're being honest. Like, I hate him. I used to be a fan of his game despite his antics, but I don't even care about his game anymore. I hate him. I want to dominate him. I love Steph Curry, but I want to dominate the Golden State Warriors. I want to dominate Steve Kerr. I'm so sick of their holier-than-thou attitude, despite having a Rottweiler off of his leash. And then Steve Kerr wants to talk about ethics of the game and breaking the code. Like, I don't want to hear any.
I don't want to hear it.
I want to beat him by 50,000 points.
And the best part was Zach Edey said, like, that's not how I play basketball. Like, he wants that smoke. He ain't ducking it. Like, he's going to show up and play tonight. And I look for Edey to be a big part of the game plan tonight, especially against a Golden State team that's been struggling of late. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They're 7-6 away from their home arena. The Grizzlies are 2.5-point favorite tonight. And we're 18-9 against the spread this year, just for an FYI, where Golden State is 14-10-1. I think that in our last 10 against the spread, we're 7-3. This feels like it's ripe for a big Memphis win. Like you said, we've sat and festered, right? We've had all this aggression and anger and angst since the Laker game that I think we as fans are going to pour it into this Golden State game. And I hope to see the same from the players tonight, though we have a longer injury report than we have had for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You've got John Moran is questionable. You've got some guys that are a little banged up. I look for Ja to play tonight, but I'm curious what this injury designation means.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, if you don't leave the game previously, then I don't know what to expect out of it. And a lot of times with superstar players, I don't put a lot of stuff into it. The Grizzlies are playing. This is the first game after. I mean, they've played 2 games in a week and a half, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know. Maybe it's a practice pull or something. I don't really know. Did it say hamstring? Is
low back soreness is what it is. It's called low back soreness.
Yeah, I think Ja plays. I think he plays. I think he plays well because I think he said the right things. Like, he's talked the Ja game. So he's talked it. I'm ready for him to walk it tonight and just really just have a FedEx Forum melee on the Golden State Warriors.
And look, we're due because there's also been a lot of that talk. We've beaten bad teams. We talked about this on Tuesday. We've struggled with some of the better teams that we play. Yes, like I just said, Golden State's reeling in their last 10, but they're still Golden State. As Wayno said, they just added Dennis Schroeder, who has been a Grizz killer. He was a killer for the Nets in the 3 games we played him this year, and now we get to play him 4 more times. It's like we're not getting away from Dennis Schroeder. And so this is a big game for us to kind of stamp that you've made it. The NBA makes a big deal about Golden State and Steph and the Lakers. And if you can beat some of those teams that have that name clout, then you start gaining recognition. We're starting to get some from the Twitterverse and Twitter basketball family, but not so much from national news medias, though ESPN loves to throw up John Morant highlights and then not put us on ESPN. But tonight is an opportunity to make a statement against a big brand.
Yeah, everything's there. I believe this game has a powder keg potential to it. You talked about the last time we saw Dennis Schroeder, he got into a yelling match with Taylor Jenkins and John Morant. And the last time we saw the Golden State Warriors, Zach Edey was taken down by Draymond Green, and then Taylor Jenkins was called emotional. And so it's got a real powder keg kind of feel to it. What I hope is that is channeled correctly and properly into executing good basketball. This Grizzlies team is a good basketball team. If they stack up well, if you just look at the raw numbers with Golden State, the Grizzlies are first in points per game, and Golden State is 13th in the NBA. The Grizzlies are 16th in opponent points per game. The Warriors are 7th. The Grizzlies are shooting a higher field goal percentage. They're opponents are shooting the second lowest 3-point field goal percentage in the league. That stacks up well when you're playing against a team like Golden State. We've seen the individual stats as the season's gone by where I believe Santi Aldama is one of the leaders in the league in defending the 3-point line. And so you really need to do that well, and you just need to execute your game of basketball, whether this is the new Italian offense or if it's more Jaren-centric. You've got to see that executed tonight, and the defense has got to come to play and to play physical. And what they've really done the whole time, the defense has been really good this year. I don't have the defensive net rating, but they're really high in the league in defensive net rating this year.
We're one of the better teams at defending in the paint, at defending the three-point line, though it doesn't always look that way. We're a solid defensive basketball team. We're also one of the better offenses. We're scoring 122 points per game. We're giving up 113 points per game. We're a strong team on both ends of the court. I put this up earlier. You can get Zach Edey plus 410 for a double-double tonight. On ESPN Bet, you can get Santi Aldama plus 550 for a double-double tonight. I'm going to take that because Santi continues to be one of our better players in big games. I know, Wayno, sorry, man. Like it feels like we do this on purpose, but I promise we don't. That Santi Aldama shrinks in big games. Well, actually, Santi Aldama has been one of our better players in big games, and he leads in rebounds, he leads in defensive percentage, he's like third in points, he's a plus 17 in games where we play teams that are above 500. Now, Golden State is at 14-11. That's another opportunity for him to step up and play big. We're going to need guys like that tonight in order to get this win. It's always fun to be Golden State. It feels like there's always just a little bit extra chippiness, a little extra bounce in the step for this game. And I want to see that tonight from a team that historically, and this is just, I don't have the data to back this up, but in my opinion, it feels like when we have a long hiatus like this, sometimes we come out a little bit sluggish. We did against the Lakers. We didn't against Brooklyn, but I want to see us hit the gas early tonight and not have to make a furious comeback at the end.
Yeah, getting out to big leads is always the way to do this. When the Grizzlies get out to a good start, they win games. When you've seen the Grizzlies struggle in games against bad teams and against good teams, it's because they didn't get off to a good start. And You look, the LA game, terrible start to the game. Trying to think back to other games. The Brooklyn games, you just never got off to good. You're not losing leads and losing games. You're getting off to very bad starts and losing games.
Yeah. Which is wild. This is wild. The best efficient field goal, EFG, efficient field goal percentage in the fourth quarter of the season so far, with a minimum of 80 total field goals attempted. Jaren Jackson Jr. is the best fourth quarter scorer in the league at 64.6% of his shots. He's scoring at 64% in the fourth quarter. So I would love for us to jump out and get ahead and then let Jaren just take over and do what he does. Because Draymond is a good matchup for Jaren, but Jaren still gets buckets, man. And especially this season, I think Jaren is on an absolute tear, and it continues tonight. We just need to start hot, and Ja will be a big part of that, as you just put up.
Yeah, I love finishing with Jaren, the Jaren finishing moves. You do your offense, you do your thing, you get your open shot, you hit them. I mean, it's that simple. When the Grizzlies win, that's what they do. They run their little offense, whatever, regardless of the year. The Taylor Jenkins offenses have always generated open shots. If you make them, you win. And so we're going to kind of dissect that a little further in a minute. But I really like it when you're in games to have that guy in the fourth quarter. And we've seen Ja be that guy against Golden State many times. And we've seen it recently with Jaren Jackson Jr. just being an absolute paint nightmare, getting to his shot. Jaren ISO ball. He always gets to a shot and he shoots a high percentage of those. So I want to see this game if it's not a Grizzlies blowout, I want to see this ball in Jaren and Ja's hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. And Jaren is the one that can do that for us in the fourth quarter. I finally found the stats. Santi is first in rebounds, first in true shooting percentage, third in points, and third in blocks in game, plus 17 in games against teams that are over 500 on the regular season. But we've queued it up quite a bit. We're going to talk about this new look offense.
Yeah, we did just get a StreamYard notification. If you were watching this on the Bluff City Media or on the BCM Grizzlies Twitter page and it crashed, hop over to YouTube. We're still live on YouTube. We're still live on the Bluff City Media Twitter page here. So it may be a Twitter issue. But if it, I hope you found us. I don't know why I'm telling you where to go if it crashed, but like next time, you can find us on YouTube. And
StreamYard and Twitter have not been getting along very well at all. It looks like it is officially off of the Twitter app. So hopefully I'll join and migrate over here to YouTube. We'll see if we can get that figured out. Love technology. We're doing a live show. But we are going to talk a little bit about this new look offense because the offense has evolved and the NBA is changing. The NBA has been much more of, Bill Walton has said it, you have said it. Like, if you look at the 3-point percentage, 3-point shots taken, I know RIP to the GOAT, you can tell who wins a game. And that's his famous quote is, if you show me a 3-point percentage, I'll tell you who won the game. And that's where the NBA is going. For the first time in the history of the NBA last week, we had a game where there were 75 missed 3-point attempts between the Bulls and the Hornets. Just a wild stat.
Yeah. I mean, that's two teams. It's not going to make many anyway.
Right. But, Boston is the league leader in 3-point attempts right now. They are shooting a whopping 1.1 threes per game, and they're simply just
60 against the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies win.
And they're simply just beating people by math, by being able to. They have I got the stat right here. They're starting the game off like a +5. They're essentially +5 on the scoring line from the jump because of how much they shoot the threes. And so, with the league changing and heading to a more 3-point percentage or 3-point shot based, you would think the Grizzlies would be keeping up with that. And in fact, the opposite is true. We're currently middle of the pack. We are 14th out of the league, averaging 37 threes per game. We're shooting we are shooting 35.8% on those threes. So for the Grizz, that's not bad. Drew, do you think this offense is going to be able to keep up as the season grinds on? We get closer to the playoffs. Do you think we'll be able to keep up with the 3-point barrage that we're seeing from these other teams?
Yeah, so the Boston Celtics are shooting the most threes, and they're like middle of the pack in percentage. Mm-hmm. So they're not very efficient, but just the volume. I mean, that goes back to the equation that is basketball these days and the spreadsheet. You shoot 3 is worth more than 2. If there's nothing worse than a NBA game in which a lot of threes are shot and no threes are made. I mean, you're talking about boring. I love the way the Grizzlies do it. So the Grizzlies are about middle of the pack in 3-point attempts, and they are about middle of the pack in 3-point percentage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so 16 out of 30. And so I like it, but the Grizzlies are a dominant team in the paint. Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, Ja Morant. You know, think back 2 years ago, Ja Morant led the NBA in paint points as a 6'3" guard. That's what I like to see. It is a very free-flowing offense that generates good looks. That doesn't necessarily mean it's generating only 3-point attempts. That's what Boston's does. Boston's offense, I had a friend of mine who's a Celtic fan who was just like, well, watch the offense, you know, that allows all these threes to be shot. And I was like, I get it. You're creative in how you do, but that's all you do is shoot threes. You would think that there should be a rack of balls there, and it's All-Star game weekend, the way that Boston shoots threes. It's just not fun. Do I think the Grizzlies can do it? Yes, I absolutely think that the Grizzlies, this can work. Now, you've got to be more efficient from three. I don't think that on your low attempts, you've got to shoot a higher percentage, but the points in the paint that the Grizzlies get every single night does allow for a higher floor and to stay competitive in games. And if you're going to go up against a team like Charlotte or go up against a team like Boston that's shooting all these 3-pointers and they're just hot, there's not anything you can do to beat them.
Well, the thing is, like, yes, Boston is shooting 51 threes a night on 39%, 37%. But the Memphis Grizzlies are leading the league in points per game at 122.1. So what we're doing is working. Like Wayno said, the numbers are adding up for this offense. I'm curious what's going to happen when the game and the floor shrinks in the playoffs, but it's working right now. We're taking advantage of these teams shooting all these threes and missing and being able to get out and run our offense. We're able to get up and down the floor at a higher rate to get those. We lead the league. I think we're top 3 in dunks for the NBA. Like, we're consistently getting to the rim and getting what we need. with other teams shooting. Now, like you said, there's going to be some nights 3, and even in Mississippi math, 3 is more than 2. And so there's going to be some nights where teams just shoot you out of the gym. We've seen that happen this year already with Brooklyn and the Lakers. Like, we've been shot out of basketball games. But when we can get up and down the floor and get running on those misses, then we can play our game like we want to, and we can win basketball games that way.
Yeah, it's the frustrating part about the offense, but what also works is that it seems like a lot of times it is dependent on whether or not the opponent is making shots. And that's what the Grizzlies have got to get better on in their half-court offense. When teams are making shots, the Grizzlies can't run. No matter how quickly you grab the made shot and inbound it and run up the court, it's just not the same as transition basketball off of a missed shot. Mm-hmm. And so, especially a missed 3 where you've got long rebounds and you can really sprint your way to the other court to an advantage. And so that's what you've got to look to. If the question is, with shooting this many threes, without the Grizzlies surging to the top of the league in 3-point attempts per game, can they still win? Yes, they can absolutely still win.
We're doing it right now. Yeah, we're doing it right now. We're winning. The other interesting fact, Drew, that we talked about in the changing landscape of the NBA is pick and roll. Pick and roll offense. Like, you think about the NBA, you've got 2 things, right? You've got threes and pick and roll offense. It's what everybody knows, and it's what everybody looks for as a mark of a good basketball team. Mm-hmm. Well, the Memphis Grizzlies currently, their offense rests probably around 12% pick and roll or dribble handoffs compared to the rest of the league. The next lowest team looks like Denver, coming in around 22% this year. Consistently, Memphis is right around the 20 to 25 range. In our best years, average. Yeah. In our 2 years that we were the 2 seeds, we were around 27-30%. So we were in like the upper middle pack. Right. This year, though, we're ahead of winning paces from both of those teams. We're winning basketball games effectively. This is the best offense we've ever seen in Memphis, with 122 points per game. Statistically, one of the best offenses we've ever seen. Make it make sense. If pick and roll and dribble handoff is so important, why are the Grizzlies having so much success so far this regular season?
Well, I mean, they just generate a lot of open looks. Listen, you're going to have to get a coach on here. I just kind of watch it and it makes sense. I can't dissect offensive basketball for you, but you could just tell when you watch the Grizzlies versus what you watch around the league, especially with teams that's got superstars like LA and like Phoenix. Like, it just looks different. It's a more incorporating style of offense. I call it the communist offense. Everybody gets a chance to touch the ball. Now, it works. It definitely works in the regular season. And so I'm curious to see what it looks like in postseason play. But yeah, it's just when everybody gets a chance to eat, you're not allowing the defense to sag off of a single person. And it seems like now that we're probably a month and a half away from the last Brandon Clark 3-point attempt, everybody is only getting shots that they can make. Mm-hmm. And so, whereas it may not be the best player on the team, it's a good shot for that player. And Agreed. That's the reason why you've got a very efficient offense. You're leading the league in points per game, despite only being 16th in 3-point shooting percentage.
And it's interesting you talk about that. Like, teams with superstars are trying to get the ball to their stars, but the teams that are leading in pick and roll or dribble handoff percentages in the league right now are the Charlotte Hornets, the Cleveland Cavaliers, which makes sense. They've got Spidens and Garland, guys that can score, followed by the Pelicans, the Blazers, the Thunder, and the Wizards. So it's not being an effective offense this season outside of Cleveland and Oklahoma City, both of which have the guy, right? Like SGA and Donovan Mitchell are the guy to get the ball to get their shots up.
And they play point guard.
They do play point guard.
And they play point guard. So it is a way for your best player to get action immediately after crossing half court. And so, and for the case of Oklahoma City, they've got Hartenstein, who's an incredible screener. And for Cleveland, they've got Mobley and Allen, who are great rollers. Exactly. And so it makes perfect sense for them. And honestly, it would make perfect sense for the Grizzlies. That's kind of what I want to see. You know, when I was referencing earlier, what do you do in the fourth quarter, or what do you do in the playoffs when things slow down and get more physical in a half-court game? That's what I want to see. I want to see action with Jaren and Ja and Dez standing on the wing. Not Dez with the ball in his hands. I want to see Ja and Jaren working together with a kick out option for Dez. That's what I think the solution is in crunch time.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's where Desmond really helps this team and gets us playing better and gets him playing better, back in a rhythm and a routine. But it's interesting because, again, we're dead last in pick and roll usage. 7.6% of our possessions per game are pick and roll. We're scoring an average of, 9 possessions, 7.6% of our offense. And we're only generating 7 points per game off of pick and roll or dribble type handoff plays. The next closest team is Denver, that's at 11 points. We're 4 points below the next closest team. When the NBA is kind of averaging around 15 points per game, we're half of that.
Right. And you got to think too, at the pace you want to run, a half court game is where you see a lot of pick and roll. Like the way the Grizzlies want to run, the half court game is like option D. You know what I'm saying? So they're wanting to get out even off made baskets. They're inbound. They're running to the ball that's bouncing on the court and trying to generate fast break opportunities off of made shots. And so when it gets into the half court game is when we've really started struggling. And that's when you go to the pick and roll. If everything's going right for the Grizzlies, you're not going to see a lot of pick and roll. You're going to see a lot of cuts. You're going to see a lot of off-ball actions, pin downs, all kinds of stuff that generate open looks. But you're not going to see a pick and roll unless we're kind of in the mud.
Yeah, agreed. And I don't know that that's going to change, but something that could help with that is the return of Vince and Gigi. I think Vince and Gigi are going to help our half-court offense a lot. Gigi was a great spot-up shooter, a great scorer. He could attack last year. Again, he was the man on a bad team. There's a lot of controversy. How does Gigi fit on this team? What is they going to look like? Can he accept his role? I think it's crazy that we're even having these conversations. Like, Gigi is one of the best players in the NBA. He's going to accept his role. He is a very talented potential. Yeah. I mean, he's on lists with guys who are some of the best players in the NBA. And I'm just saying what we've seen.
Yeah.
What we've seen so far, Gigi could be one of the better players in the NBA and could help this half-court offense tremendously by creating space because he can shoot. He's a guy that can attack the rim. And I just yes, Wayno said earlier, we do need another option when the game is slowed down and we can't get out and run. Absolutely. What if that option is Gigi Jackson Jr.? We just don't know it yet.
I'm kind of just tired of talking about Gigi Jackson, if I'm being honest, just completely honest with everybody, because we're getting to the point where it's like you're looking for a savior. We're getting to trade season. We're looking for that third option. And I've firmly been in the camp that I'm just like, maybe, potentially. You know what I'm saying? But the more we talk about Gigi Jackson Jr., still a month and a half away from his return, is the expectations are getting way too high for me to be comfortable with. He is not the missing piece for a playoff run this year. He's just not. I refuse to believe it. And if he is, no one will be more happier than me. But I am done talking like that is. People are ready to chisel that in stone, and I'm just not there.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I want to put it in stone. I just think that the potential is there. Like, we could go trade for a Cam Johnson or, insert whoever here, and it may or may not work out, and it may or may not work out what we have in Gigi. The more this thing lingers, I think we're going to make a trade. I hope that it's the splash trade to make us a championship contender, but knowing Zach Kleiman and the history of the Memphis Grizzlies, we're kind of arrogant when it comes to our player development. Rightfully so, because we have developed some really great players that we have drafted. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just more of a consolidation trade deadline and we bank on the guys that we have.
Yeah. Well, my favorite baseball team is probably the most arrogant team ever, the St. Louis Cardinals.
100%. They're the best fans in baseball. If you don't believe them, ask them.
And I'm not talking about the fans. I'm not talking about fans. They are amazing fans. In a baseball, it's one of the last remaining baseball cities. Like, if you want to go watch baseball, you go to St. Louis. What else is there to do? There's no football team anymore. There's no NBA team. But that's not what I'm talking about. John Mozolak, the ownership of the St. Louis Cardinals, were so arrogant into thinking like, we're not going to trade for your players when we've got our players. A lot of them that were in Memphis. You just go and you trust your development, and your answer is in the system already. And that's kind of how the Grizzlies have operated. And so I'm curious to see at the trade deadline whether they're okay with, because the bad part of trades is, good part, Cam Johnson. Bad part are who are you giving up?
Yeah.
And that's the part that Grizzlies fans don't want to talk about, because you've got this outsized, in my opinion, based on right now, opinion of what G.G. Jackson is right now, or Vince Williams is right now, or Jalen Wells is right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think that I think G.G. could be the answer. I also wouldn't be surprised if there's another answer out there that we go get in a trade, whether that's with Atlanta or Washington or Brooklyn or whoever. Like, it may be somebody we don't even know yet.
And to just modify what I said, just I am absolutely banking on Vince being an answer coming back. But nobody expects G.G. Jackson, Vince Williams Jr. to be a 20-point per game offensive role player here. Like, he is what he is. He's a defensive guy. We need him, and I can't wait for him to come back.
Agreed. And I think that's one of the big key pieces that we're missing. And we are one of the better perimeter defensive teams. I think we're top 5 in defensive and perimeter defense, and we're top 5 in offense. And I think Vince is going to make both of those better over time. We'll see with G.G. coming back. There's going to be some rust and some things you have to knock off. But I agree with Wayno here. Like, I think a trade makes sense as long as it doesn't compromise our depth. Like, that's one of the things that's best about us. We're going to have to get rid of some of the depth. Some of those contracts that are expiring, like a Luke Kennard feels like he's on his way out. You're going to have to give up a Jake or a Santi or some of that depth to help make a move. But as long as that piece that you're going for is one that's going to be around for a while or fits is an immediate step up, I'm okay with sacrificing some of the depth. But if they call asking about Vince or G.G. or that, then for me, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm probably out on that too. So we're going to be talking about trades until a trade happens.
That's it. And honestly,
I've just kind of come to accept at this point.
I don't expect us to do anything until February. Like, February probably the earliest that we do something. So buckle up. We got a long off season or a long mid-season lull before we actually get to the trade deadline. But lastly, before we let good people go and get back to your regular scheduled work days, the NBA announced, Adam Silver and the NBA announced a new format for All-Star Weekend and the All-Star Game this year. There's been lackluster attention and turnout and viewership of the All-Star Game for the last several years because it's not fun. It's not a good product. It's not something that people want to watch. So they decided to make a change this year, and it was what we had all heard the rumors about earlier this year, that there's going to be 4 teams, 3 games. You're going to have 3 8-player teams. You're going to have 24 All-Star selection. There'll be 3 8-player teams coached by Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kenny Smith from NBA with the TNT.
Inside the NBA.
Thank you. I'm blanking. And then the Rising Stars team is the 4th team that will be coached by Candace Parker, which will be your young up and coming, where we saw Jod, Jaren, and BC play a few years back. Those 3 teams, those 4 teams will play 2 semifinal games and then a championship game all on the same night, 1st to 40 format. None of the players, KD, first of all, came out big saying that it's stupid. Let's go back to East versus West. I hate this. It doesn't make sense. John Morant, when they asked him about it, he said what KD said and moved on. Like, none of the players seem too overly happy about it. Drew, do you think it's too much trying to get viewership? What are your thoughts on the format?
Well, I'm throw Wayno up here. Wayno says it sounds gimmicky, and yeah, maybe a little bit. But I'll be honest with you, this is not an all-star game problem. It's a player problem. And if the players are mad that Adam Silver is trying something new, then they don't have anyone to blame but themselves for not caring. So you're scared. You don't want to go all out because you're scared you're going to get hurt over a 48-minute all-star game. Well, we just shortened the games, gave you an opportunity to tank your way out after one game, and you get to rest. Like, I'm all for anything that makes it competitive, that makes the players care. And at this point, I don't know what that is, but I don't blame Adam Silver for trying. Lord knows he sat the players down and the players union down last year in the midst of a massive TV contract negotiation and said, for the love of God, please try. And they gave him 2 double birds and both teams hung 200 up. So, and it's not fun. Like, this is entertainment. That's what sports are. We make a big deal about it, but it's no different for us than a movie buff going to watch a movie. If you're not entertained, then you're going to turn it off. So if they're mad that they're changing it, it's because it's not entertaining and there's no one to blame but the players. This is the 24 greatest basketball players on the face of the universe, and they have found a way to make this game boring.
Exactly.
That's their fault.
And it is. Wayno's exactly right. It is very, very gimmicky. It just feels like a try hard.
I think I do disagree. I don't care what it is. They could get out there and play checkers on half court. If they want to find a way to make it fun, it's on the players.
That's it. 100%. That's what I'm saying. It feels very gimmicky in an attempt. And so my whole point was about to be, it feels gimmicky by the league to make it more interesting, but it's ultimately up to the players because they're the ones that have made it uncompetitive and unfun to watch. And it's not like back in the day when, growing up, everybody wore their own team uniform, which I loved, and they played. And it was an actual game back in the early 90s. Now it's just how many lobs can we throw and threes can we throw up and guys going heaters. And it's not a fun product. And I think the league can do whatever they want, whatever gimmicks or things they want. But like you have said, like my point is the same. Until the players decide that it matters, it's not going to matter and it's not going to be a fun product to watch.
No, it's truly not. And that's the reason. It's the same reason with the dunk contest. Like, why in the world do we not have Ja Morant in a dunk contest? Why do we not have – why has LeBron James never participated in a dunk contest? Like, they want to say money, and I just don't – like, this is about fun. It is about entertainment, and it is not always about, like, fan enjoyment. Like, the players are in control. Like, they have their own wants and desires, and that's fine. But at some point, like, you owe it to the fans, the people who go and see it, go pay for the tickets, or they pay for the TV package or NBA League Pass, all this discretionary money that is spent to love these players and these teams. Like, give it back one weekend a year. Give the people what they want. I want to see Ant, LeBron, Ja in a dunk contest. I want to see Steph and Desmond Bain and all the great three-point shooters. A fan vote should be what determines NBA dunk contests.
Couldn't agree more.
Who do the fans want to see dunk a basketball in an exhibition? That's who gets to do it.
I couldn't agree more. That's a phenomenal take. Like, because it's going to be Ja Morant because he's always on there. He's always on NBA.com and NBA tweets.
He's the best in-game dunker the NBA has seen.
Absolutely. I don't hate this idea. If it's about money, then let's take all the All-Star Weekend money, give it to the MVP, and sit back and watch the chaos, see what happens. Because if it's about money, then just reward it, man. Let's make it happen. So
yeah, well, they did that they did reward with money for the in-season tournament, and they do care about that.
Well, yeah, Giannis was celebrating hard the other night.
Yeah, and the fans cared about that, and the players care about that. So maybe money is the issue. I've said many times, I don't care about the money. Pay them, whatever you've got to do to make them entertain me. It's not my money anyways.
Exactly. So let's make it fun. Let's make it happen. But that's our show for today. Thanks for hanging out with us for the last 45 minutes. We're going to end on a high note. Sorry, I was distracted the last couple of minutes, but my cousin Jim, they just had their second baby. Mom and baby girl are here. They're healthy. Everybody's happy. They feel good. Don't have a name just yet. Don't know size and all that. It literally just happened. He just walked out of the operating room. So welcome to the world.
Hey, I got one too.
Thanks for being
here. I've got one too. Longtime listeners know cousin David.
Yeah.
Big Dave. He had a baby on 12/12, which is, nice. I like good numbers. My daughter was born on 2/2/22. I've got a son that was born on 3/3. So I like the correlation, something easy to remember. And so baby Murphy Gibson, 12/12/24.
Strong.
And they're good. So yeah, the family expands. We don't have enough room for the ones we've got at Christmas anyway. So by all means, let's just keep having more.
Let's just keep adding more. Let's go, man. I love it. I'm here for it. Families are growing. Good things are happening. The Memphis Grizzlies are going to get a win tonight. And we'll be back here on Tuesday, giving you all the tomfoolery and bad takes and things that you could possibly fit in a 45-minute lunch break, because there are no refunds for what you hear on the $2 Sports Show.
That's right. Because with the $2, you always get what you pay for. Have a good weekend. We'll see you on Christmas Eve.
Go Grizz.
Thank you for listening to the 2 Bucks Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.